Welcome. We're excited you want to measure the impact of your startup. Before you start using our Excel tool, it makes sense to have a quick overview about the measurement approach. We would like to introduce 3 principles of measurement. The first one is measure relative changes compared to the status quo. This means, as a startup, don't try to identify all the impact you have. Rather focus on those areas where you believe you make a change compared to the status quo solution. The second, assess impact from the perspective of stakeholders. You could as well call them beneficiaries if you have a positive impact. This means try to identify those areas that really change things for stakeholders. And finally, reduce complexity with a hypothesis-driven approach. We will help you doing this with our Excel tool. The measurement approach is divided in 2 phases. In the first phase, you only identify the impact that you have. So, for example, identifying your stakeholders, your beneficiaries. In the second part, we will then ask you to quantify these changes, but this is only after you have a good understanding of your impact. So let's have an example. Your status quo solution could, for example, be fair trade bananas. And suppose this is a new aspect. You could say, well, what I do differently is I sell organic fair trade bananas. So the organic is new. The question is, what changes would this actually bring for the stakeholders? Well, local communities, they could benefit by, for example, suffering less from pesticides. And what changes for the stakeholder? Well, they're likely to have an improved health. Our Excel tool helps you to identify the 3 most important impact chains that you have. At the same time, improved health is not very specific. So in the next step now, it is about the impact substantiation. Here we ask, how can we actually quantify the impact that you have? And this could, for example, be done by the number of sick days. And then the question is, how can you relate this to the number of products and services sold? So then we would say sick days per ton of banana sold in our simple example. You will see once you go into the details, you will have some more questions, which is why we have further webinars looking in more detail. So how can I actually identify the status quo solution and who really is my stakeholder or beneficiary? We now advise you to go directly into the Lean Impact Measurement Excel tool on tab number 1, Theory of Change, which is your impact identification. On the left-hand side, you'll find exactly the same steps than we just saw: status quo, business model differences, as well as affected stakeholders, and the 3 changes that you generate. You additionally find webinars in case you need further explanations besides the instructions that we provide to you in the tool.